So we're back to recess, and General Counsel has a statement, then we will have John finish.
Again, I want to make a correction to the record. Our current CEO previously made a statement that our prior CEO was terminated. That is unequivocally untrue. Our previous CEO and the association decided to mutually separate. She was not terminated, and that was a error in this statement. This meeting is Chair.
So, again, we're not going to be able to finish this tonight. So what we're inviting folks to do, board members, if they have comments that are pertinent, please state those comments briefly that are pertinent to our discussion. And then after this discussion, Sridhar and I will use the chair, and I'm kind of the vice chair of the Board Governance Committee. We will come up with a new matrix so that people can answer questions in that format. That seems to be the preferred format.
Are all the members of the governance committee, or just on you two?
Well,
I think that's some of the correction I'd like to make is that if you want an artifact coming out of a committee and you want it to be ratified by the committee, you just cannot go out and work on it by yourself. That's all I want to
fine, we can do that. We'll do that.
So can I make
Please,
some comments?
you're one of the commenters.
So
So when you have the board governance committee meeting, will you let the rest of the board know what date that is in case any of us would like to be able to come?
That date is March the 7th,
Okay, thank you.
and the time is, I'll tell you the time. Go ahead.
It's on the calendar for 6
okay,
o'clock.
good. I'm sorry.
That's all I needed.
Can I? Okay, so I'm going to make these comments just so the board has a sense of how this came to be, as well as I want the members also to be able to watch this, hear this. So starting in June 2017, to remediate the problems that were identified with the purchase process for Tetra as the RA treasurer, and on behalf of the board, I spearheaded what I would call 5 pillars of changes required to strengthen RA. A lot of them were identified by Stone Turn as well, who did the independent review of the Tetra purchase. So one of them was establishment of internal controls. Another was written policies and procedures, processes. The third was setting up a whistleblower policy. Took a little bit of time, but we got that done. And why? It provides a mechanism for anonymous reporting. I also wanted to reconstitute the fiscal committee, make it more hands-on, and to help staff, but also act as an analyst, advisor, as a committee to the board. And that's beginning to work. It's not totally there, but hopefully they will get there. We'll empower them more, and they will get there. As far as internal controls processes, yes, we have established them. We are beginning to work. Whistleblower policy, we've had that in place for a year, and we've got, one complaint so far. So my point is, just because we put controls in place doesn't mean we are afraid of something, or something is, it's going to take away the authority of the staff or executives. So the fifth one that I didn't get to, and we could not do that. A lot of it got it done. Sherry was the president then, but the board, the then board supported many of the initiatives. We had support for this as well, for the Resolution 5 changes, and I'm going to talk about what is the change that I wanted. But then that went into the BBC, and then we had so many other issues on the table that we never got to this. And that, to me, the fifth pillar, which is the Resolution 5. It's a very important pillar that I wanted to put in place because I wanted to make sure, and the board at that time wanted to make sure, that the CFO and the General Counsel, but the Principal Financial Officer especially, had independent access to the board if there was a need for that. I think it's, this is, the General Counsel already has this. This is not a complicated thing. I think the board in general would have good judgment. We have 9 different people. How many different opinions do we have? right? So if the CFO is gonna come and complain about a minor issue, I think as a board, we're gonna push back and we're gonna ding the CFO, right? It has to be something that has to be really substantive. It has to be the major threshold for the CFO to have the, the gumption, to the guts, to come to the board and say that there is a problem, right? And from a mechanism perspective, this works in thousands and thousands and thousands of companies all across the globe. You put in place an independent channel of communication through a periodic meeting in executive session or as a, for the full board or with just the officers. Public companies, non-profit boards as well, the audit committee does that work. Audit committee is a subset of the board. That's the way to implement it. So you have a quarterly session, 5 minutes with the general counsel, 5 minutes with the CFO. Typically, you ask the questions and the person says there's nothing wrong, it's over. There's no need to be, the CEO doesn't have to get threatened. The CEO's authority is not getting questioned. It's a simple mechanism that thousands and thousands of organizations do. Why can't we do it? We are so small. And then that's the reason why I wanted to talk about this being a controlled organization as well. The recourse is to us.
That'll wrap up for you,
Yes, I will, yes. And the way and the mechanism to make sure that the CEO does not take any action if in fact such a complaint is raised or something is raised by the principal financial officer is to set the compensation, to have some say in the compensation, to have a say in the firing and the hiring of a person. That's the way you make sure that the check and balance is there. So I think we need to do that. I mean, in closing, I do want to say that, Tony, you've been here for what, a year, almost 10 months? How many times have you felt the need to come to the board directly, independent of Larry or Hank? I would say 0. Thank you. That's my case. In practice, rarely happens. So let's not make a mountain of a molehill. We just want this independent channel of communication because I think that is the control that works in practice. It's not a big problem. It's not complicated. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
John, anything?
I would like to say something too, and without denying anything that my friend Sridhar has said, I would like to say that one of my intents in all of this was also to protect RA and the CEO from excesses by the board. So I'm looking for mutual checks and balances because we decided, I don't know when our forefathers and mothers did section, is it 6.7 of our bylaws, that they decided that the board would not try to run the place, but hire a CEO. And indeed, we don't know who's ever going to be elected to the board. Our members do that. So we hire a professional who has the talent and the experience to lead us. We need checks and balances, but we can also, we board members shouldn't be left to make all decisions as if we have the professional knowledge to do so. So what I've been trying to do, working on this thing for 2 years now, is to make sure that there are checks and balances all directions. And woe to us board members and woe to the membership if we don't have a sufficiently strong CEO who can keep things running and in a good direction. So it's not just watching the CEO, it's watching the board too. That's my view. So, and I don't think Sridhar and I differ on that, but it's a matter of emphasis and perspective from what you say.
All right, John, would you just repeat one more time your goal for what will happen over the next couple of weeks in terms of this topic?
So we will, at our March the 7th, if not at an earlier session, we'll have to consult among our members. But at least on March the 7th, we will have our Board Governance Committee meeting from 6 to 9, and our goal will be to have redo the matrix, tinker with the matrix, so that the board members can fill out their preferences on these different authority relationships among various members. That seems to be the question way has failed. So we'll go back to the matrix. And from that, we will then we will do what we hope, a near final draft. Does that make sense? People like the matrix, it turns out.
Okay, thank you. Again, our goal is we would try and pass something in the March meeting. I think it's been well stated that, there are views on both sides of this in terms of controls, more controls, less controls, moderation, as in many things, makes sense, in terms of how do we wade our way through this to make sure the board feels comfortable, the CEO feels comfortable, with the moderate point where we get to, where we have a professional leader, but there are some checks and balances. All right, thank you. It's 9:01, so we keeping to our promise there, we will head to the next agenda item.